You are listening to the Overthinker's Guide to Joy, episode 36. This is the one where we're going to talk all about how the pandemic affected our relationships. Let's dive in. This is a podcast for overthinkers, overdoers, and overachievers who are tired of feeling overanxious and just want to feel better. I'm your host, certified life coach, Jackie DeGrenis. Hey there, and welcome back. So if you're listening to this in real time, it's May of 2022, and it's spring, and much of the world is returning to post-pandemic life. That is, the workplace, people are starting to travel again, going to sporting events, attend concerts, and socialize. But after 2+ years of social distancing and working from home and wearing masks, it seems like many of us have forgotten how to socialize, how to attend parties, how to reconnect to old friends and family. Well, the circumstances are different for everyone. I just keep hearing how things feel different. Those who were not dating during the pandemic find it strange to suddenly start dating again or try to start dating again. Those who are introverts and enjoyed the excuse of being able to stay home during the pandemic no longer have that easy opt-out. Many people who are still concerned about COVID variants worry about large gatherings indoors, and other people have just become very accustomed to working from home and are nervous about returning to an indoor office 40 hours a week, giving up the convenience of not commuting, having to get dressed every day in actual clothes, not just sweatpants and yoga pants, having to put on and wear actual shoes all day. But everyone is going through some kind of adjustment again. And the one thing I keep hearing is that some people feel their friendships have changed too. I've heard this from both friends and clients, both men and women. And as they start to reconnect to old friends, in many cases, they feel there's a disconnect. And they're left wondering, has my friend changed? Or have I changed? And is this a result of having been isolated or antisocial for 2 years? I have a number of clients who have been struggling with specifically the issue of reconnecting to old friends. When they were finally able to reunite or hang out again, they felt the conversations were kind of stilted or one-sided. They felt they were very inquisitive and interested in what was going on with their friends, but in more than one case, their friends didn't seem to ask them any questions back. And when they did, they seemed distracted or bored by their answers. And one of my clients said they spent hours hanging out with an old friend, and it wasn't until they were getting ready to say goodbye that the friend said, "Oh yeah, tell me about you," and then proceeded to start looking at their phone while they were talking. Another client said that some friends took her out for her birthday lunch, but she felt like an outsider at her own party. No one had asked her about her new career or what was even going on with her. And in both cases, the clients realized they had been the one to ask all the questions. And over the last few years, my particular clients have had all this personal and professional growth, and it became apparent that their, quote, old friends were not that interested in their newly evolved lives. So this question has come up a lot lately in sessions. How do we handle the disappointment or the awkwardness of feeling disconnected from an old friend when we finally get the opportunity to reunite? Well, it goes back to using that coaching tool that I introduced a few episodes ago in the episode called Learning to Reframe Your Thoughts. You can allow the circumstance of your friend to conjure up all kinds of negative thoughts in your mind about yourself. You might start to think, I must not be that interesting, or I must not be a good storyteller. They must not really like me. I must have done something to offend them. I must be boring. That's always a dangerous thought. Those thoughts lead to a whole host of feelings in your body, like insecurity, rejection, embarrassment, maybe even resentment. But then what happens is we naturally react to those feelings and those thoughts. We stop talking. We might avoid other social interactions. We retreat. Maybe we act defensive or feel awkward. Maybe we get tongue twisted in trying to explain something. And then the tendency when that happens, because it's like a snowball effect, is we just want to get small and disappear and dim our light. The result, we feel insecure, disconnected, we question ourselves, we question our value. And you know what? We become awkward and boring because we stay small and we start to second guess ourselves. Yes, our thoughts create our results. So how do we turn this around? How do we reframe this? Well, we run the model again. The circumstance remains the same. Your old friend. What are your alternative thoughts that you can think when you have an engagement with them and it doesn't feel like a great ping pong match? It doesn't feel like a dialogue. It feels like a monologue. It feels like you're being talked at. Well, here's some things you can think about. Maybe they're struggling with something to have monopolized this entire conversation. Maybe they don't ask about my new venture or business because perhaps something about my work makes them feel insecure. Maybe through 2 years of relative isolation, we're all just trying to figure out who we are in a post-pandemic world. Maybe they're just doing their best. Now, you could also think, I have a choice to address this with them. I mean, if you're close enough friends, maybe you can bring this up. Maybe not during the dialogue or monologue, but maybe later at another point. Or if it keeps happening, or they don't want to talk about it, or they're offended that you would even suggest that they're having a monologue every time they see you, maybe you can choose to spend less time with them. You can think, maybe we've grown apart, but I can still be friendly with them when I see them. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. But then you show up with feelings of compassion for them, curiosity, and detachment. Because maybe we're all coming out of this post-pandemic world with too much attachment to a perfect reconnection to an old friend. So what actions do we take when we feel compassionate or curious or detached? Well, hopefully we're more patient with them and with ourselves. Maybe we decide whether the relationship is worth saving, like I said, talking to them about it. Or maybe you just create more space for yourself. But whatever you do in this circumstance, don't let it dim your light. Show up as your best self. If you're excited about a new business venture or a romantic relationship you're having or a great trip you just had, show up with that light. Show up with that energy. Always bring that energy with you, whether or not you're asked about it or talk about it. You can still hone it. You can still own it. It can still be part of you. But don't give away your power based on someone else's interest or validation of your stories. If your former relationships don't support your growth, find someone who can exchange your thoughts and ideas with. Find people with common interests who are happy to exchange that positive energy and those common interests. Your result will be one of two things. When you reframe how you look at your former old relationships, whether it's a disconnect, a reconnect, or just something feels amiss, you'll either reconnect with them because you will show up strong with powerful light and you'll be like a magnet. Or if that's too threatening for them or something has changed in your relationship, then you will create new friends that reflect your new self. I understand that old friends that have grown apart can often feel like a divorce. A close relationship can be as intimate as a lover or as bonded as a sibling. And it's stressful when we feel like we've had a falling out with a dear friend, or even worse, when we don't know the reason for someone being inconsiderate or detached from us. But we can overcome it. And we do that by reconnecting with ourselves first. As we say, clean up your side of the street by practicing good self-care and self-compassion. Take pride in how you're managing your life. If you're taking good care of yourself, then chances are you will attract people who also do the same. And you don't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to be practicing the best version of yourself. And when you start practicing that, you will attract the right people in your life. Relationships are always a two-way street. But if you're feeling like you're experiencing a one-way street dynamic with a friend, then it's up to you to check in with your needs and your thoughts and your actions first and go from there. Before you judge someone else's behavior, ask yourself these questions. Have I shown up with integrity? Do I respond to their invitations in a timely fashion? Do I invite them to do things too? Do I listen with intention when I'm asking them a question? Am I coming full of judgment about their actions or lifestyles? Or am I showing up with neutrality? And the last question is, are you attached to how they treat you? In other words, do you need them to be interested in your stories? Do you need them to be interested in your vocation or your love life to feel validated? Because that may be too much to ask. Now, I'm not saying you have to tolerate somebody ignoring you or not taking interest in you, but notice that when you're less attached to the outcome, there might be a better flow of that relationship too. But if you feel like you're showing up with integrity, that's all you can do. You can't control how they behave. You can't control how they think. You can't control what they do. Be your best self and don't give away your power. And definitely don't dim your light. We want to make sure that we're always growing and evolving. And if somebody isn't going to grow or evolve with us, then we can simply be grateful for the time that we've had in that relationship. But just remember, everybody is struggling with something. So stay curious, be compassionate, and no matter what, shine bright and surround yourself with people who lift you up and not with people who bring you down. Someone is waiting to connect with you. Go find them and go support each other. All right, friends. I look forward to talking to you next time. I hope you have a great week, and bye for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Overthinker's Guide to Joy. If you're enjoying these episodes, please subscribe or follow this podcast so you can always be in the know when the next episode drops. If you would like to learn more about working with me as a coach, you can connect with me through my website at jackiedegrenis.com. That's JACKIEDECRINIS.com.